Hello, America. We are back, Retirement Think Tank, and today we're going to be discussing a hot topic, MyRA, or MyRA, as a lot of people are incorrectly pronouncing this thing like a woman's name. It stands for My Retirement Account. President Obama spoke about this Tuesday night in his popular speech that many millions of people watched, including myself. And before we get into this is not a political debate. I could care less about who you like or who you dislike. This is about retirement and about this retirement plan. So before you comment about stuff like this, and don't send me hate mail. But let's talk about both the pros and the cons of this MyRA and how it could affect you and benefit and or hurt you. Before I go into the three negatives, and I want you to stick around for number one, it's an interesting one. I got 1, 2, and 3. These are the reasons I personally believe that this, meaning MyRA, will never work. But let's talk about some of the positives. First off, let's congratulate all of the White House for talking about and addressing a big issue, and that's the fact that people aren't saving enough. So let's first of all give them some props. That was a very positive thing. Anytime that we can focus on an issue like not saving and having some big huge problems and gaps in retirement and not talking about spending money, so take the emphasis away from spending and onto saving, that's awesome. This plan also has some neat pieces to it, that it does have a guarantee in place, which could be a positive and a negative. There's always pros and cons to any time you have a guarantee in place, of course, meaning you're always a lot of times limited on the upside. There's also the fact that you can get in with as little as $25 and you can add as little as $5 per month. There are no fees to this account, which are really good because some of the 401k fees, etc., can add up to a lot. So those are all some positives. But here are the three reasons I believe that this thing will never work. Number three, we'll start here with number three. I'm going to rip that off. And sorry for my pitiful handwriting here, but too many options. We already have way too many options out there. Have you seen the smorgasbord of letters and numbers and things out there for all these different types of retirement plans that already exist? Yeah, 401ks and 403bs and IRAs and Roth IRAs and Keogh plans and 457s and SEPs, and it just keeps going on and on. There's tons of confusion out there. We have enough options. We just don't have enough savers. That's the problem. And I don't think anyone woke up the next morning inspired. I don't think this inspired people to say, oh, I've got to start saving, and thank goodness for that MyRA plan. It's going to be the thing I finally start saving because of that MyRA plan. I just don't think that's something we're ever going to hear. I think if anything, we should consolidate all of these crazy options that we have out there and make it easier for people to understand what they have available and how it can benefit them. I don't think there is anything in this plan that isn't available already today. That's really the issue with number three. There's nothing unique or original in this that's enough benefit that can beat something that's already out there. You already have Roths, which are great. You obviously have 401ks, and if you're an independent contractor or work for yourself, you got SEPs. Really, no matter who you are in America, you have an opportunity to have one of those accounts. That's what it comes down to. The problem is people aren't saving. I spoke to someone recently. I have to give this example. They have a 401k. They work for a company that has a matching program up to 5%, and they weren't even doing it. They had no idea what they had, which is going to come down to my solution here in a little bit. So once again, they're with a company. If you don't understand what matching means, that means this company was going to match up to 5% of anything they put in their 401k. It's free money, people. You would be nuts not to take advantage of that. And I hope this person that I spoke to is now doing it. I berated them in the nicest way possible for not taking advantage of a free matching plan. So number three, too many options. Let's talk about number two. The blind leading the blind. Here's what I mean by that. I've been able to work with well over 1,000 different financial advisors in my career, and something that always perturbs me, it ticks me off, and it baffles me, and this is a really small sliver of financial advisors. Don't think this is the majority by any means. It's a small sliver, but they exist. And these are people who are bankrupt, the financial advisor, that are living paycheck to paycheck, and have no freaking idea how to manage their own money, yet they're giving advice to other people. That, to me, that makes absolutely no sense. And that's what I kept thinking about when I was watching and reading about this, is the government trying to give financial advice and trying to teach people how to save and telling them how to save and what plans they're going to put it in. Think about the government here for a little bit, guys and gals. What has the government done with their own business? Let's look at it from a perspective like investing in the government. You got a company, the government, because they are really a company that loses money. Last couple of years, they've lost $1 trillion a year, right? They owe over $16 trillion. They owe that much total. That's how much they're in debt as a company. Their board of directors, their upper management, they hate each other. They can't agree on anything. Everything they talk about gets into debate and, you know, hatred. It's nuts. Would you ever invest in a company like that? Of course not. There's a lot of really smart people up there in Washington, D.C., including the guy who's up in the White House. Really smart people. That doesn't mean they know how to run a business, and that doesn't mean I want them touching my money or telling me what to do with my money. I'll gladly pay them taxes to protect our country, pay for the road, schools, blah, blah, blah. But geez, don't try to tell me how to invest in what I should invest in and how to save. I think they've overstepped their limits a little bit, which is why I call it blind leading the blind, or dumb and dumber. Ronald Reagan had a really funny quote. It was the nine most dangerous words in the English language. I'm here from the government, and I'm here to help. That's just not their job. Look at what they've done. Social Security, even though it's done well and it's helped tons and tons, millions and millions of people, it's completely underfunded. Let's look at the IRS. If you try to call the IRS lately, this year in taxes, it's what, 55, 60-minute hold just to get through someone? Let's look at the post office that they run, who loses millions and millions and millions of dollars with no end in sight. The DMV. I recently moved from Texas to Georgia with my family, and I am fortunate enough where I do work from home mostly, and I was able to call the DMV the day before and ask them the best day to come in there when there would be least amount of traffic, and they told me. So I showed up exactly then. I still waited 4 hours. 4 hours to get one license, and I sat there and watched these employees. I think it's every 2 hours they were taking like a 15-minute mandatory break, whether they smoked or had a cell phone or what. And some of them, 2 of them, like just sat there, like had nothing else to do. Of course, they're not going to work. Why would they put an extra 15 minutes of time in when they're told they're supposed to take a break? And as soon as the 15 minutes were up, they went right back. They literally stepped up 2 feet back to their little desk. It drove me crazy. My point is, they don't know how to run business. They're inefficient. They're ineffective. It's the blind leading the blind. The number one reason, I'm going to have a solution as well, so stick around for that. But the number one reason is, do we look dumb? Here's what I mean by that. If you look at what they talk about, how they're going to invest this money, it hasn't made any money. The last 2 years, it would have averaged around 1.4 to 1.8 in the different bonds that they're going to invest your money in. That doesn't keep up with inflation, people. I mean, come on, do we look dumb? Yes, there's a guarantee behind it, but if someone guarantees that you can't lose money, but only gives you 1% for the rest of your life, is that a good deal? Not necessarily. Even though they're all the positives and waiving the fees, etc., if I'm only making 1.4% when the S&P and other things are going up 12, 16, 20%, whatever the number might be, this is not a very good deal. The other thing, and I can't be the only person that thought this, as you probably know, the Fed has been buying up anywhere from $40 to $80 billion a month of U.S. Treasuries of this debt. And I kept thinking, since this is going to be, MyRA is going to be government owned and run, they do reserve the right to change the rules at any given time for any reason, meaning they can all of a sudden take your money and start buying up these Treasury bonds. And that's the first thing I kept thinking about, and I can't believe I would be the only person that thought this. And I'd love to hear your comments on it, is the government, this is one big scheme to take your money, get a lot of people involved in this, and obviously this is targeting the lower class and up to the middle class, the people who aren't saving enough as it is. Start taking all your money to help fund this huge problem that we have, because obviously the Fed is going to slowly, and already has started slowly, tapering off how much they're buying up. At some point you hope they're not going to have to buy any of that monthly debt at all. They're going to need someone else to step in. I don't think China or Russia or the big companies, India, are going to want as much of the debt since they already have quite a bit. That's all I could think about when I was seeing this. So question is, do we look dumb? Now, I have a solution. It's not perfect, but the last thing I want to do is beat this thing up, which I've done, and then have no solutions and just say, hey, the whole thing stinks. Here's my idea of a solution. One word. Education. That's really where the underlying problem is. People aren't saving. They need to be educated. Who knows how much money has already been dumped into this and how much time, and the way they bicker up in the White House, who knows how much more time and bickering and money is going to get dumped into this. I'd rather see them take all this and any future money they were planning on spending and put it in education. Start bringing in new teachers and new curriculum into schools, into universities, into post-grad. Every school out there needs to know more about saving money and how to save. Clearly, the parents aren't doing a very good job of it here in America. The government's not doing a good job, although at least they're bringing it up and saying there is an issue. I am proud of that. But there's a huge, huge, huge problem here with the lack of education on saving and retirement planning. I have a young daughter and have another one on the way. That worries me like crazy, and I'm already teaching them how to just save small pieces of money. Right now, obviously, it's pennies. Hopefully, before too long, it will be dollars, and then more and more and more. And my parents taught me that at a young age as well. They made me go get a job. They literally forced me to start saving, and that's probably what needs to happen. I'd rather see the money on forcing people. And once again, another problem with this, there's no like automatic forced entry into this. People can get in and out as they choose. They're never forced to do anything, and they can even get their money out anytime they want to. That's horrible. If anything, you want to put some really stringent rules on this to make sure people can't get their money out of it. That's the whole part, because you and I both know the second someone has an emergency or whatever, they're going to be taking all their money out of that thing since there's no penalties. I think there should be a huge penalty on this if it goes through. But anyhow, my solution is education. Anywhere possible that we can get more education out there, and hopefully the teachers all like this and unite on this. I would rather them get all the money for this and start educating our youth, our people, our students, our college students, our people in community colleges on saving money, especially the ones that are coming out of school with all this crazy debt out there. So that's all I have. If you like this video, please like it below, share it. All the different little sharing things that you can, embed it, whatever it is, get it out there. If you don't like it, send us a comment, send us an email, and once again, please don't send us anything about politics or about Republicans, Democrats. We could care less. Other than that, hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.